This video was sponsored by OutBeachExpress.com. Outbeach Express Stock Media by Subscription is a new site that offers high-quality broadcast resolution stock media content. Their content includes stock footages up to 5K resolution, music, sound effects, images, and After Effects templates. Sign up today for a free account at OutBeachExpress.com and receive 19 free pre-selected stock media downloads. No credit cards, payments, or obligations required. Create your free account today.
Hello everyone and welcome to my After Effects tutorial. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to render on a transparent background from Adobe After Effects. So say you're a video editor and you're working with a motion designer, and that motion designer gave you a logo animation file. Now the problem with that is that he gave you the logo animation on a black background. Now you want a transparent background so you can use it into Premiere Pro or FCP or Sony Vegas, and you can put it on top of a video footage, right? And you cannot do that since there is a black background there. Now you have access to the project files, but you don't know how to render on a transparent background. So in this episode, I'm going to show you that. I know two ways of doing this. I'm going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of both the ways. So this way you're prepped up and ready to go for any project. So with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to use this centerpiece for the example. I'm going to go to set 1 and open this. Now this is a design, right? It's an animated design, and say you want to put this on a video, right, in your video editor. Now how do you do that? There are two ways of doing this. You can use the video way, or you can go with a PNG or a photo sequence, right? So the first way is a video way, and let's take a look at how to do that. So you have your pre-composition open, right? And the first thing you want to check is that whether the project has transparency or no. And you do that by clicking on this toggle transparency grid button over here. So if you click on this and nothing really happens, then there is no transparency right now. And generally the reason for that is there is a background solid or a background layer in the project, right? And you have to switch it off. Sometimes this is a simple project over here. Sometimes projects can be very complex. There can be pre-comps and pre-comps and pre-comps. So you'll have to open every single one of them and see where that background layer is. Say you find it, I would say don't delete that background layer, simply switch it off. So this way the motion designer is not pissed if you deleted and you messed with the project or no. And as soon as you disable that background layer, you will see that now if you click on the transparency grid, this alpha a checkboard sort of pattern comes in, and when this comes in, this signifies that you have proper transparency in your project now, and now you can render, right? So this works in Photoshop, this is there in AI, in Premiere Pro, basically everywhere in every Adobe products. So if you see this transparency grid, you are on a transparent background, right? So we have transparency in the project now. Now let's render. So I'm going to have my pre-composition open here, and then I'm going to press Ctrl M, or I'm going to go to composition and add the render queue, right? So I'm going to press Ctrl M for that. And the one way of doing this is to create a video file that supports transparency. Now, one of the most used codecs in the world is H.264. It creates a very small MP4 file, and people love it because it's easy to send on email, easy to share on Facebook, very easy to upload on YouTube and stuff. But unfortunately, awesome people, that codec doesn't support transparency because it's a very compressive codec. It compresses things and therefore cannot support transparency. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to click on this lossless button, go to format and take QuickTime, right? And whenever you hear about this codec word, remember that in After Effects, codecs are managed in this format options place. So if you read something on a blog or watch someone else's video and they're saying codec, go to this format option. So click on this, and video codec option is going to be right here. Now if you take H.264, which is again one of the most used codecs, it's not going to support transparency, right? So we're going to take animation. This is one awesome codec. There are some disadvantages to it. I'm going to talk about them, but this is one heck of a codec. It renders out lossless, so there is no loss in the animation quality or in the video quality. And you will see that once you decide animation here, it's going to say animation right there, and in channels you'll have to take RGB alpha. Okay, so now you're going to get proper transparency. Click OK, decide where you want to render this, and you can render and everything is awesome, right? Now the problem with QuickTime animation is that it creates a huge file. So I already have rendered the same animation over here, right, the same exact piece, and you can see that it's a 4-second animation and the size is 227 MB, right? So it's not a very justifiable format to use if you're rendering say 10, 20, 30, 40 seconds, right? So definitely not very useful over there. There is another codec where I'm gonna go to again over here, press Ctrl M to add to render queue. There's another codec, awesome people, which supports transparency, and that is, unfortunately, some people would say photo JPEG, but guys, photo JPEG also doesn't support RGB alpha. The other codec is called JPEG 2000. This is one awesome codec. It gives you best of both worlds, good compression, and not that much loss in the quality. So if you click OK over there, you're gonna get RGB alpha, right? And if you render this, let's take a look at what's the file size. So I already have done the render in Qt JPEG 2000, and you can see the size has been brought down to 26 MB, right? So this one is 227 MB, this is 26 MB, so literally only 10% of the original file size. Really awesome. But say again, you're rendering say 1 minute file, okay, and you cannot use JPEG 2000 also because it's creating literally 700-800 MB, and you cannot upload this to YouTube or cannot send it on email. Well, there is another way you can do this, and this is by PNG sequence. This is basically creating images, right, and it's going to send this onto like this can be compressed very easily. This can be you can make a WinRAR file out of it, right, make a zip file and send it on an email. They can extract it and they can import it into After Effects, and the video file is going to be ready. The way you do that is you go to After Effects. Let me delete this, guys, right, and in lossless, instead of going for QuickTime, you go for the option called PNG sequence, right? Change the channels from RGB to RGB alpha, and in format options there's only going to be 2 options over here, and by default it's going to be none, and I highly recommend you keep it over there. PNG sequence is another way of rendering lossless animation, right? So zero loss in quality, and if you're sending things between After Effects to an editing program, this is a superb way of doing this. And this also works on the high-end production. So if you're taking something from Fume Effects, bringing it into After Effects, compositing it, and you're sending it to the video editor for properly editing things, this is another way of doing it. So you don't end up with huge file sizes and RGB alpha. So now you decide where you want to edit. So you can, what I would say is, create a folder here, call it shot 02 C03 camera 03, and you can create a folder, because there's going to be creating an image for every single frame, right? It's going to create an image for every single frame, and then this sequence can be imported in Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects, depending on who's using it. Right, so I'm gonna give it a nice name, say PNG SEQ, right, and just and don't add any number like this. That number part After Effects will take care of. Just click save, and After Effects is gonna do that. All right. This is also a superb way of sending things across. So let's take a look at what's the file size. I think the file size is going to be only 35 MB, right? So if I was to say compress it into a zip, it's going to take a little time, but after that it's only 24 MB. So very practical, zero raw stress compared to JPEG 2000, which is going to be compressing things a little bit, and this is not going to do any compression. So interesting ways of creating alpha and importing things without that the background. So that is how you work with transparency, and that is how you render transparency from Adobe After Effects. My name is TjStyle. I hope this video was useful to you. Please subscribe to my channel for more tutorials and more updates, and I will see you all next time. Take care everyone, and thank you for watching.